So disaster has just struck here on the farm. Earlier today, I was actually using this frost-free hydrant to try to get water to the cattle, and the gosh darn hydrant broke right off, and now I'm kind of stuck. I mean, it was seriously like chaos. Like, if you look around the barn right now, you'll see that there's water pooled up all over the place. It's already started to freeze, and by the end of the night, I'll have a straight up ice skating rink in the barn. I had to go inside the house to trigger the manual shutoff. I was luckily able to fill up the cattle trough enough so that they at least have, I don't know, probably the next 36 hours worth of water ready to go. But first thing tomorrow morning, I gotta run to the hardware store and get some replacement parts so that I can try to fix this hydrant myself. If I don't rectify this situation soon, my cattle are gonna be up Poops Creek with a turd for a paddle.
Is this the real sign or the joke sign?
Hey guys, no need to run away. I'm just here to visit and say hello. Here you go, pal. There you go. There you go. The cattle are actually doing really well right now. They've settled into their new barn digs and have been very docile and relaxed. I've been feeding them hay regularly and they seem pretty happy with that. Up until this issue with the hydrant, things actually have been going really, really well. Of course, things are never gonna go perfectly, and sometimes you end up having issues like this one. Hey, Ginny. But I guess that's life on the farm. Now, in the olden days, in my, say, city life, what I would often find is that I would have to call somebody to do the repair for me and fix it. But more and more as I live the rural life, what I'm finding is you're forced to be much more self-reliant. It's not to say that I wouldn't be able to call a plumber and get a plumber out here, but number one, I'm gonna have to probably wait a couple weeks before I can get a plumber out here. And then number two, it's probably gonna take the plumber a week or two to actually fix it, because they'll probably have to make a visit to come out here, and then they'll have to go to the supply shop that they go to and order the parts and then get those parts and then repair it. And that really just takes time, but I guess that's the dark side of rural life. I have a secret snack treat for Ginny. I think she wants some. All right, give it a shot, Ginny. It's just freeze-dried cod pieces. It's adorable that she uses her little paw to eat it. It's hard for you to chew on it, huh? She likes to scoop them up with her hand and eat them. Did you get it? She likes to eat like people. No, don't take more. You already have a piece. Eat that piece. She really likes to just take it out of the bag. Pablo, you want some? I wonder if Mr. Toby Dog's gonna want some. Come on, buddy. Toby, sit. There you go. Toby just snatched the snack and now he's chomping on it back in the duck area. He really likes it too. All right, that's probably enough dawdling for right now. I gotta get my chores done before it gets completely dark. As you can see, the chickens are starting to put themselves to bed already. Any last stragglers? Give them another minute before I lock them up. The ducks have already completely put themselves to bed. Here. Of course, I need to do one quick check to make sure there's no leftover eggs in here. No, guys. The ducks get very upset if I go inside of there and check for eggs when they're already in there. But if there was an egg inside of there and I'd left it in, it would have been rock solid, frozen, and cracked by the time morning rolled around. So it's a very necessary thing to do. It's also really important to dump my water before the end of the day, or else the water would be rock solid by morning as well. Of course, dumping water like that makes the whole duck area turn into a skating rink. Oh, man down. That's why it's super important that I wear my crampons so I don't slip on the ice. I've had some experiences in the past where I've slipped on the ice. Dude. Not cool. Quite frankly, I really don't want to get hurt when I'm out here doing chores. An injured farmer isn't a productive farmer. Isn't that right, Mr. Toby Dog? Yeah. Usually the other thing I'll do at night is I'll take Toby's water bucket, which is just starting to freeze up, and I'll give it to my geese. I find that the extra water is appreciated by the geese, and it won't freeze nearly as much inside the hoop house because the greenhouse plastic here keeps this easily a good 15-20 degrees warmer, it feels like. I don't know, maybe that's an exaggeration. But it definitely stays warmer, and then the geese also dunking themselves and swimming in the water help keep it from freezing as well. Of course, now it's time to herd the geese in for the night. Come on, geese! Come on, geese, let's go. Good night, geese. Good night, geese. Good night, geese. Come on. Let's go. Good night. Good night, geese. Good night, geese. Come on. In you go. Into the house. They're starting to relearn the drill, so it's becoming a pretty easy task. I'll let you out again in the morning. Pretty soon I'll start putting the chickens in there with them as well. It's probably gonna be a project for me this weekend to finish building out nesting boxes as well as roosts for the chickens. And then I'll move the chickens in there and it will be housing for both the chickens and the geese. I'm super excited about that one. Look at Molly Murder Mittens. She's probably patiently waiting for me to feed her. Come on, cat, let's go. Good night, weird chickens. See you in the morning. Another winter nighttime chore I have to contend with is pouring water for Toby Dog and the barn cats. I usually leave the water in the 5-gallon buckets overnight like this. It'll start to freeze up late at night, but then I'll be back out there and I can let Toby get some fresh water first thing in the morning. I find that it's a pretty good system that we have going here right now with the water for the animals around the duck and goose yard. Here you go. It's so adorable when the barn cats drink from the water like that. I also leave them a bowl of water by the house too. But I don't know, there's something about watching them drink out of a 5-gallon bucket that just warms my heart. Now all the chickens have officially put themselves to bed. Good night, chickens. And now it's time to feed Mr. Toby Dog. Okay. Kibble. Nice warm bone broth. Good buddy. Get out of there, Jin. That's Toby Dog's food. Oh boy, I just noticed something inside Toby Dog's house I gotta go take care of. See that? Looks like a chicken just laid an egg. As we get to this dark time of year, eggs are becoming scarcer and scarcer. And especially lately, most of the chickens have even stopped laying, and so I try to make sure I catch every single egg before it freezes. You know, just the other day, one of you guys actually sent me a note asking me why it never seems like I do any evening chore videos these days. And really the main reason is it gets dark so darn early, I don't even have enough time to finish my day job to get outside and start shooting these videos. And so like an afternoon like today where I got out a little early, it was kind of a rare luxury to be out here before the sunset. And so it's tough to shoot videos at night when it gets this dark and it's just about 4:10 I guess, so wow. It's like almost pitch black out here. I don't know if you can tell because I got the lights on and you're watching on a camera, but it's pretty dark out at this point. I mean, not like, not pitch black. Pitch black's an exaggeration, but it's dark, which by the time I'm probably ready to post this video, it's gonna be probably about the darkest day of the year. And for me, it's always an interesting time, right? Like the winter solstice is this like period of time of like locking things down and kind of quieting everything. And especially around here on the farm, we're done butchering birds for the year. We have all the animals in their winter housing for the most part, except for that whole little chicken move, but that's no big deal. The cattle are set in the barn, and most of the stuff I'm gonna have to contend with, it's still just sort of maintenance chores. And so, I don't know, I enjoy this period of time. I've been able to do more work inside on the house. I've actually been able to do more work writing my book, which is coming, you guys. I swear to goodness, it's coming. And so while it sometimes feels a little depressing that we, you know, around here have, what, probably 8 hours of daylight almost, you know, at least full daylight. It doesn't bother me that much because I also kind of enjoy the rest, especially after going so hard over the course of the summer. You know, one of the things I've noticed about country life and living in the middle of nowhere is you feel the seasons more. I think part of it is because I spend so much time outside working around the farm. And so you definitely feel the seasons more in that regard. When I think about life in the city, right? Yeah, it would get dark before I came home from work, but you had so many street lights and so much going on at night that you don't feel like you have this sort of strong sense of quiet and stillness that happens out here in the middle of nowhere. You know, you could probably call it just the dark side of rural life, I guess. Because you don't have as much unnatural light, other than, I guess, my lights that I have out here right now. The darkness is definitely creeps in and it feels like it takes hold on the land much more so than, say, if I was living in New York or Washington, D.C. I remember actually the first night I ever spent here on this farm. I was actually technically illegally squatting I drove up from DC. I camped out in the barn. I hung a hammock between a couple of rafters. And I remember one of the things that I was struck by the most is that when I turned my flashlight off, just how absolutely perfectly dark it became out here. It's actually a feeling that I've cherished ever since, where you get this calm and you get this darkness, which makes it so much easier to relax and unwind. I think all the artificial light, and I know there's some irony in me telling you guys all this while I'm blasting artificial light and you're watching it on some sort of glowing rectangle at your home or work or wherever you may be watching this video. But by shutting down that artificial light, you get a calming sense. And something's really nice about like Allison and I just sitting inside tonight, and we're gonna probably sit by the fire and have most of the lights off and just have the glow of the fire there, which, I don't know, casts just a different color and creates a different sense of wellness and relaxation. I admit I absolutely am embracing it right now. And while some might find the darkness off-putting and scary, I got to admit that I really kind of like it. Despite the fact that I absolutely love just how quiet it is out here and how remote we are out here and the stillness that happens to come in the dead of winter, I will admit that I'm finding I have to push myself to make human connection this time of year and not just become a complete hermit where the only human being I see is my wife, Allison. For example, a guy came by the farm earlier today, a writer, who happens to be a guy who wrote a book about guys being friends with other guys. We spent a couple of hours talking about all sorts of stuff. I mean, we talked about topics ranging from hound hunting to property rights to storytelling to the meaning of what's real and what's not real. And I will admit, it was definitely a breath of fresh air to like sit down and have a face-to-face conversation with somebody, because I do find, especially this time of year, I can be so remote and so removed from people. While it's nice to talk to people over the phone or through text or even like a video call, I think it's even more magical when you can sit down over that cup of tea and shoot the breeze and spend time with somebody like that. And so even though I encourage all of you to embrace the quiet and embrace the stillness, don't forget or neglect the value of that human connection too, especially, as you come through this time of year where there's so many holidays that happen regardless of your religion or your personal beliefs. And I think one of those things that this stillness and this quietness will offer you is that opportunity to connect with others. So this is probably actually more a pep talk to myself than to all of you to say, don't be a hermit, buddy. Come on, Toby dog, let's go for a walk. Come on. See anything? Huh? You see anything out there? Huh? Gosh, it's hard to believe that even just 4 weeks ago, this frozen tundra had cattle eating on it. But I guess things change quick. But it won't be long before they're back out here again doing their thing. It won't be long before this tree here starts growing again, and I'll be wishing for the quiet and stillness of winter. It won't be long at all.